Hi, I am going to talk a little bit this morning about something that I learned at the Seint Wildflower Convention this last weekend, and it's all about adding color only where you don't have it. So it's kind of the opposite. So what we're going to talk about today is actually toning our uneven skin tone by adding color, like with a cream translucent bronzer, a cream bronzer like this Bella bronzer, and leaving alone areas of darkness. I know that sounds weird, but this is coming straight out of the mouth of the beautiful Kara from Seint, who is the creator and the makeup artist behind this company that is so great with this cream makeup. And when she talked about leaving alone areas of discoloration and actually just filling in around and using the beautiful pigment that we already have on our face as just part of our face, something kind of clicked. So I want to talk to you and show you a little bit about that. So the first thing I'm going to do is tell you what I'm going to be using first before I put any makeup on, because we're going to be using a cream bronzer. Now I know there's cream bronzers out there. There's all sorts of different brands and things like that, but this one here is from Seint, and it is called Bella. When I say translucent, it's more sheer. I should say sheer, not translucent. But you use such a small amount of this pigmented bronzer that you'll see. So I'm gonna just start by doing just this side of my face. And when you use this, I want you to go in and look at your face and decide, where do I already have color? Well, here I have an under eye ring color. I have melasma all over my eyes. So let's just kind of start right in here. So I've just picked up the smallest amount. I probably even have too much on the brush, so I'm going to dust a little off. So we're just going to dust on. This brush here, if you're curious, is called the blend brush, and it's beautiful because it's just it's almost like a little bunny tail. And all I'm doing is going in and just lightly feathering over the top, just picking up the lightest amount, and then coming in and doing the same thing. I'm just kind of speed this up as I'm talking here. But what I'm going to do is go in around my eye. I'm going to use the smaller end here. I'm actually going to add color around my eye where there's missing color and leave alone all that pretty pigmentation on my eye. I mean, why am I going back in? Let's think about this here. I usually go back in, and first thing I do is I go in with a color corrector or a concealer, and I conceal out all of that pigmentation on my eyelid. But if you look at my eye and I relax it, doesn't that just look like I have brown eyeshadow on, or I've already kind of contoured the crease in my eye? So why am I blotting all of that out with concealer, color corrector, and then going back in later and adding brown eyeshadow, when I've already got this natural color here? So let's go ahead. Let me speed this up. If you have any questions, please say hi. Let's talk to each other in the comments here and introduce yourself if you have questions here. I'm only going to do one side of my face, and I'm just lightly dusting. When I say dusting, this is cream. It's not a powder, but I'm think of it like a little feather duster, like you're lightly dusting over your beautiful china or a piece of crystal or something that you just want to be very careful with. You just want to lightly swirl. And I'm learning too that the way you hold your brushes makes a big difference. Keeping your hand loose, not getting nervous and cinching down on that. That really helps. Yes. Hey Cheryl, yeah. Oh, I loved meeting you too, Lauren. Hey Lauren. Lauren and I, we met. She's also a Seint artist, and Lauren and I met on our flight from Phoenix, right Lauren? Phoenix to San Antonio, and she was so kind because I had never ordered an Uber by myself, and I was so nervous. I know that sounds silly. I've been in an Uber before. It's not like I don't know what they are, but I never put the app on my phone. My husband had to help me get the app on my phone, and make sure I had my payment information and all that in there. So anyway, Lauren was so kind to share that with me, so thank you. All right, so what I want to show you here is just the subtle difference, and I hope you can see this. I'm just sitting in front of natural light. There's no ring light here. This is just me and you. So what do we got? This side here, I just put a little bit of the cream bronzer, lightly priming it, just putting it in areas. I didn't put it on my eyelid where I had darkness, but just a little bit to tone, even out add a little bit of color where I needed it. And you can see how sheer, and I hope you can see the difference, the subtle difference between my skin tone here around my eye. Now I could probably even add a little bit more here where I've still got that puffy pouch, that little fatty pouch on the inside of my eye. But this is so different than blotting all of this out first. I'm actually going to add color with a little bit of that bronzer and even out this side of my face. So let's see. Let me take a peek in my mirror. All right. Okay. So we've got this side here done, and this side not, but I really think you can see the difference. I hope you can. Yes. Yeah, this is really great. So what I like about this concept of adding color around the darkness, using your natural pigmentation, using your natural rosacea, your rosy, gorgeous cheeks, you already have a beautiful color. And so when we think about that, yes, Jody, this bronzer color I think is probably the most universal one. If not this one here, the Bella, then you could always reach out to me. But if you were really, really fair, like porcelain fair, you probably don't need to even out your skin tone necessarily. You might need to if you had some rosacea. But using our coloring that we already have to our advantage. So if you already have rosacea and red cheeks, we can tone around that redness, right? And then lightly take out the intensity where we need to. But then why are we completely obliterating all of our rosy cheeks, adding all this heavy makeup, and then going back in and adding the same perfect little rosy pink blush when you already have that naturally on your face? And so that's kind of what we're dealing with here. So there are several, I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit now on the other side. So I'm taking this brush, I'm lightly touching it, and I'm already dark underneath here. So I'm going to just feather around it just to try to tone this out. I'm still gonna put makeup on. I'm not just gonna be like, oh, this is a fix, but this is my toning, evening out of some of my skin tone, adding some color to my face so that those distractions of our discoloration that we see on our face, whether it be rosacea or patches of large melasma or under eye discoloration, that we're not necessarily, I think when you get the tone difference closer together, then the distractions don't seem such a big deal, right? Like, if you have something that's white against something that's black, boy, that's a big contrast, isn't it, right? But if you then kind of get those two closer together, like, kind of adding black to the white so it goes more gray, and then adding white to the black so it also goes more gray, you're evening out and getting the tone to work. So here's my big old sunspot. And so I think what's most distracting is that this is the darkest part on this part of my cheek. So I'm gonna use part of this area, I'm gonna tone it, I'm gonna color correct it still, but I'm gonna do it after I add color around it with some bronzer and down here. And just make sure you blend it in. Now you can continue to add even more bronzer if you really like more of a little self-tanned look, but I'm gonna do a very light layer so that you're seeing that it's just a bit of toning. And obviously when you get into this and you're not chatting to somebody live, you'll be much quicker and you'll just swirl this all over and you'll see that it just really does give you a base. It's almost like that analogy of starting with a blank canvas or starting with a blank page when you're a writer, or starting with a blank canvas when you are an artist. How intimidating is that? To take something, completely matte it down, completely prime it down to where you've taken your face and you've primed it down so where there's no variance of color, there's no discoloration, there's no different tones, you've completely matted it all out, primed it out. And then you have to start from that. And you have to go and add color all back in when you may have already had some really gorgeous color already on your face that you could have just left alone. And so I thought that was really a different concept. And I'm really starting to love using less and less makeup, wearing the lightest amount of makeup and leaving my face alone where I don't need to keep adding more and more makeup. So Let's go in now, if that makes sense. So I've done that with the primer, with the Bella bronzer, almost like a primer. And now I'm gonna go ahead and just do my makeup, my 3D makeup. So this is all cream makeup. It's cream highlight shades, which is what we call our foundations, and different tones, again, that are gonna work for your face. Cream contour, and we have cream lip and cheek colors and all of that. So I'm just gonna do a very simple highlight and contour. I'm gonna take and just add a bit of contour up on my forehead. And this here is just going to add, like you say, contour adds a shadow. It's just helping to define out the framework of our face. When you add contour up on your forehead, you're really just using that to draw the eye down to your eyes. So by adding color or a contour up here, which is a little bit more ashy, you're just pulling the eye down. So now this is a bit lighter, even though it has the bronzer. This has a little bit more of a shadowy tone up here. And so hopefully it's pulling the eye down. So again, you can mess around and get, you know, deeper and darker with that. Contour, you can bring it down along here if you want to as well. Contour underneath my cheekbones. Now this is where it gets a little tricky because I've got this huge sunspot here. So my contour is actually, it almost kind of goes right through the tip of it. But if you have melasma or sunspots that are right exactly on your contour line, right in here, let's use that in our favor instead of letting it work against us. So I'm gonna flip over to the smaller end of the detail brush, and I'm gonna pick up just a little bit of my contour. And since I have a bit of my melasma tucked right in here, I'm gonna add a little bit of my Bella bronzer to warm up my cooler contour. And we're just going to add our contour kind of up underneath the cheekbone, top of the ear here. My cheekbone's right here. So just the tip of this here. And then I'm gonna leave this alone, and I'm just gonna bring a little bit on the other side of that contour, this sunspot. So I'm gonna use this, because I have that big old sunspot, to my advantage. I'm just gonna take this brush and now just lightly tone it and blend it up a bit so it's not so harsh, but it's just adding just a little bit of a shadow to chisel out my cheekbones. So then over here, I have a little bit of melasma, but I don't have that distinct, you know, there's some patches here, but I don't have that distinct shape, you know, that's really distracting. So I can just kind of bring a little bit of my contour just right along here. I don't have to worry about kind of skipping that color, that big old spot. Okay, so that's just, my cheekbones are right here, and I'm just kind of pressing it or kind of brushing it up underneath, and then we'll just pull that up. So there's just a little bit of a shadow there. And right in here, this area where I have this contour, you can even tap it, brush it as. This is gonna be, that's part of my foundation now. I'm not gonna go in this area right here and add more makeup. This is all gonna be a one layer. I'm gonna give it my best go to just keep this all to one layer. Really, really important. I'm gonna go back and make sure I answer any questions too. So please, if you do have a specific question for me, ask it again if I miss you as we're going along here, okay? All right, contour. Now, I do want to add some along my jawline. I think I love that, so I'm going to tap in a little bit more aggressively to my brush and go right along underneath my ear to about here where my jowls come in. And I'm just taking that and really kind of just giving almost like a dry brush right along there. And we'll pull that down. When you are contouring along your jawline, you don't want to necessarily go right along the side of your face, and we don't want to go too low, but it's nice to catch just where that jaw bone starts to roll over, and then pull it down and back. So you can kind of see how that helps define my jawline from my my double chin, and a lot of that tissue I have, this jowl that I have that's hanging down. I'm just going to bring it from this part. I gotta pay attention here. It's hard to do this. Just so you know, it's so hard to do this. Put your makeup on with your only mirror is your little tiny cell phone. So I'm always like worried that I'm missing a spot, so I gotta look in my mirror every now and then. Okay. So we'll pull that down. Another thing you could have done too with the bronzers, if you if your neck looks a little bit lighter than the rest of your your neck and your chest, then your jaw, you know, add a little bronzer down here as well. That just really helps even out that tone. Okay, now, contour, a little bit of contour, a little bit along my jawline. If you are into doing your nose, you can also add, I never do my nose, but you can contour along the edge of your nose as well. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go into my, I'm gonna use just, I think, a combination. I'm gonna mix my color corrector, kind of my darker, warmer foundation shade and my main shade together because I've got that Bella bronzer underneath. So I already have a little bit of color here, and I'm only gonna place it where I need some extra coverage. So I'm gonna switch over to kind of just more of a blending brush, and I'm gonna just tap into both. That's what's so great about having more than one highlight, which is what we call our foundation shade, is that I don't need to always all year round try to make one shade work on my face. If I have my warmer tone, my main tone, and my lighter tones, I can even, you just tap right into each, just go tap, 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 and create kind of more of a custom shade. So I'm gonna work kind of in this area here where I have a little bit of redness around my eyes, but I'm really just going very lightly, very light amount over my bronzer areas. So again, just tap, tap, or just use your main shade if that's working for you. Another place I need some extra help is down here on my chin, where I have a lot of that rosacea and broken, not rosacea, what do you call those? Those broken capillaries, right? Broken capillaries, those purple little veins, and it gets kind of like a purple speckly look. Okay. I'm not gonna add anything here where I have my contour. This side of my cheek, I can use a little color to kind of help blend that in. So again, I'm just gonna use a little bit of my, probably mostly my main shade where I'm a little bit lighter here. You see just a little bit. And we're just tapping, or almost kind of just doing this little flicking to press it in and to blend it in. But if you think that these little containers are so tiny and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how can one little tin of that makeup be worth $16? I'm gonna go through it like in a week. Well, you can see how little I'm using and how little you need, and how you can imagine how long these are gonna last because you don't use that much of this makeup. And I think that's probably the hardest thing for people, for gals to learn when you start with this makeup, is that you want to use it like a liquid makeup. You think that you have to pour a lot on and rub it all over and blend it all in, but really you just need the smallest amount to add that coverage. I don't know if I'm blended here. Let me just do that. Okay, so now we're gonna address, I think that's it. I don't wanna use very much at all. I just need, I'm not even gonna, right now I'm not adding any makeup. I'm just kind of pressing it around to blend it in a bit. Okay, let's work on this guy right here. And so what I'm doing is kind of the opposite, is now that I've toned and I've added a little bit of color to my face, now I'm gonna go in and color correct where I need that extra color correction, okay? I'm gonna leave my eyelids alone because I really like this coloring here, because I'm gonna just add a little bit more brown neutral shadows and just use that natural pigmentation I have on my eyelids. Underneath my eye here where there's some discoloration, I'm gonna leave that alone because I think that just frames my eyes. But we are gonna go in where we have maybe a little bit of the pigmentation here. So I think I'm just gonna use my Mango, which is just one of the cream shades. I'm not gonna get into the Demi or anything, which is a totally different color correcting system. But I'm just gonna pick up a little tiny brush, tap into that Mango that I'd used mixed as my main foundation, and I'm just going to touch it over here. Just on the bottom half of this sunspot, because the top half of this sunspot is really part of my contour now, right? So I'm just gonna even this out the best I can. Just use my finger to kind of press it in a bit. And we'll just leave that alone. It's just enough to break up those lines, to lighten that up a little bit to where it's not a distinct shape. And then we'll add some blush. And again, adding blush is gonna pull pull your eye to my cheeks and add color. So I'm not gonna obsess over all of these little dots and spots and things like that. I'm gonna just use them I don't know if I put enough on. Let's see here. Sometimes you just need to step back and look at it again. There we go. Okay. Easy, easy. So now it's just not, it's just, this is part of my contour here. This is, I can still see through it, but it's not as distracting as it was before. And if anybody else I was walking around or talking to throughout the day, no one's going to even notice that I have a sunspot on the side of my cheek. And you need to remember that as well. Like, we obsess over these things, but really when you're out and about, no one sees those little veins you have or your sunspot that's right here at the top of your cheek. No one else is seeing that but us. So we need to just work with those. Yes. How do I do when my melasma is below my cheekbone? Yeah, so here's your cheekbone, right? And if your melasma is right under there, then you pretty much, if it's in your contour line, you can use, I would say, use part of it as your contour. Like, just let that be a natural definition. And wherever you have pieces or patches of your melasma that fall, like here, that fall outside of that natural line, then use color correct those outside of it. Does that make sense? So try to look at the shapes and the colors on your face and leave the color if it's going to work to your advantage. You know, if part of your melasma is right underneath your cheekbone, where part of it can actually be a natural contour, like the melasma I have right here in the crease of my eye. It's already a natural contour, right, creasing right in there on my eye. I don't need to blot that out and go back in and add brown eyeshadow to contour my eyelids. I already have it there. So we can, you know, so look at your face differently. Let's start looking at these distractions and these different colors and spots on our face a little bit differently, and think, you know, rosacea on your cheeks. Gosh, that's a beautiful natural blush, right? Why not use that to my advantage? Tone out just the darkest, reddest part of it, and then let that color come through. Sunspots on the side of your nose. Yes, I had mine zapped too. I'm going to try zapping again with IPL, this one, just to see. And my neck. Dirt on your nose. Yeah, so that's when we are going to use, we would then probably want to use some demi or color correctors. And also when you have the melasma, I think you were asking me, Ivern, you were asking me, yeah, you said it was farther down. Then yeah, we're going to tone. So I would suggest, same thing, Cheryl as well, tone that area, your whole face around those darker spots like we did with the Bella bronzer, so that it's not as much as a distinct, you know, contrast between the dark spot, you know, you're calling it your dirty spot on your nose compared to the rest of your face. So using that Bella bronzer to tone around it, do the rest of your makeup, and then what we can do is I can talk with you about some of the demi color correctors and or adding like mango to that. So real quick, if you did need to use, I would suggest either like getting my favorite demi correctors that I think work for everybody. And demi is a little bit different. We'll have to do a whole different makeup chat about it. But if you want to really quick, if you're interested, jot down these 4 colors of demi really quick. They're going to be O1, which is orange 1. It's the lightest, peachiest orange. O3, which is orange 3. It's a little bit more of the mid-tone peach. Y01 is the yellow orange one, and then RV1 is the red violet one. So those 4 seem to be 4 colors that really work with most of our discoloration that we can play around with on our face. So we'll meet up again and we'll do another chat. Maybe tomorrow or the next day I will do that. Karen, what mascara do you use? Any I have looks terrible. So this, real quick, is I just started using this line from Maybelline. It's their Sky High. Let me read it real quick. It's their Lash Sensa. This is the tone, or this is the primer, Sky High Primer. Now this one, I think it's clear, but I got the black one because I feel like, why not? I love mascara. If it looks like I did double mascara, I'm just going to do that. But this is their primer. I put this one on first, and it actually primes the lashes, conditions them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it even helps. It's got a little bit of a lash serum in it. So I've been using it, and my lashes are just popping even more. So this one first, and then over the top of it, I use the Sky High black mascara over the top. And I like to put my mascara on first before I start my makeup. I do that because I feel like it dries completely. I make a mess with my mascara, so I'd rather make a mess all over my face where I haven't put my eyeshadow on and makeup yet. And so yeah, give that a try. It's available everywhere. I can send you a link too. Yes, yeah, you'll like it. It's really good. Mascara. And if you have trouble with mascara, you know, on the bottom lashes kind of bleeding down, then avoid putting too much makeup right underneath here, and maybe use a little bit of translucent powder, that kind of thing. Okay. And try putting it on first, because I really feel like it has more time to cure or set. All right. So let's do some brightening now. So adding a little bit of brightness to my face, and then we're going to add color with lip and cheek. So this is pretty much going to be my makeup today. I barely have, like I say, any on, but a lot of my distractions are calmed down, and I'm going to add some more color in. So I'm going to take a little bit of a brightener. Again, it's just one of our cream highlights. This one's called Sunlit. I like it this time of year because it's got a little bit of a yellow undertone, and I'm just tapping it on here where I want to pull forward. And now that we've kind of evened out, added color so that we don't have the distractions that are so making such a distinct difference, you know, then you can go in and just add a little bit of brightener and just brighten up the center of our face. And so this is just, again, a little bit of the cream, and I'm just tapping, or you can use a brush. I don't know, I've got all sorts of brushes sitting here in front of me, but just lightly. I like to put some down the center of my nose, inside of my eye, out here, kind of above your contour, outside of your eye, just wherever you want to add light and or illuminate. And that's usually this part of our face. So we want to contour and frame the outside of our face, even out our skin tone, but not obliterate all of our coloring. And then you can go back in and just very subtly just add a little bit of light to a couple of areas, and then pop on some color. I think I'll put on, have you seen our new lip and cheek colors for the season? My new favorite one here is this one. It's called Renaissance. It's almost like a berry. It's almost like a cranberry. It's really, really pretty. Let me just grab a brush. I'm going to tap into it. And again, so here's my contour. Here's my lovely sunspot, but I'm just going to, on my face, I like to add it just right above my contour and then kind of pull it up towards my temple, lining it up with the outside of my eye here, and just tap a little bit of that on. That's called Renaissance. Isn't that pretty? And even though they're cream and they look very pigmented, and they are, they still go on pretty sheer, and you can blend them and you can build them. So, you know, don't be afraid when you see colors, the colors. If you ever want to see a swatch, just message me and I'll swatch it on my cheek or on my hand, and I'll send it to you if you're curious on what. I have all the colors. I may not have them all with me here because I'm still on vacation. I'm here in Kansas at my sister's with my mom and my dad and my sister. So I may not have all my colors, but if there's a color you want to see, I can definitely swatch it for you and show you. I'm going to add a little bit of Royal to my lips. It's a glossy, but adding color right back in, just a little bit of color to your lips and your cheeks. Don't forget to do that. I know I always hear a lot of ladies tell me, I don't wear blush, so don't put blush in my color match. I don't wear lipstick, so I don't need any lip color. I don't wear eyeshadow. And that's fine, but I think, you know, because it's easy, right? I love that. It's easy and you don't have to, but I think if you try adding a little bit of color to your cheeks and a little bit to your lips, you'll be surprised how much you like it, really, because it just, look at that. It's just, you know, you add a little bit of vibrancy to your face, a little color to your cheeks and to your lips, and that with even just a little mascara, and you're gonna feel just like awesome. You're gonna feel ready to take on the day, take on the Monday. I'm going to show you now how I would do my eyeshadow, because just a really, really simple eyeshadow. I've already left alone pretty much my eyelids. I've left them pretty much alone, meaning I haven't color corrected or blotted out all that melasma that I have up on my lid. So I think I'm just going to take just a really natural matte eyeshadow. And these are all of our eyeshadows. What I love about the Seint eyeshadows is that you get to pick and choose what you would want in your palette. So, you know, those eyeshadow palettes are so fun. I used to, you know how you could get those for Christmas or give them to nieces and nephews or nieces, and as Christmas presents, you know what I mean? And nephews too. But you only end up using just a few shades. You never really use all of them, and you always have one or two that are your favorite shades. That's kind of how it was for me. And so it's so nice to be able to create your own palettes and pick and choose colors that you like. So I'm just going to grab just this shade here is called Chai. It's just a really pretty kind of taupey tan shade. All right, I got to show you something else I learned at the convention, is to have a little finesse when you put your eyeshadow on. Okay, I do everything 100 miles an hour usually, and I cinch down on a brush and I just go, like usually I'm going to town. It's like, I got to get this done. I got to get going. And so I learned from one of the beautiful Seint artists, Kat Fairchild, how you need to have a little finesse when you do your eyes and be a little bit loose. So get that pinky out. This really makes a difference. I know this looks weird, but get your pinky out, hold your brush nice and light, and put your pinky out. And you're going to find that you will be much more light and much more artistic, and your eyeshadow is going to blend so much nicer. So also I learned that you always need to tap your brush off. So they're so pigmented. So tap your brush in, load it up, and then do this. Tap off. See all that pigment that came off and would fall down on your eyes, and then leave your pinky out. And I'm just going to come in and just very lightly add some of this color to my lid underneath my crease, just a little bit, just to kind of, again, just a base color. And then I've already got that definition from my melasma that a lot of us have, but if you didn't, you could go in and you can add a little another kind of tonal color. But I just like using these. Chai is one of my favorite go-to colors. Chai and Cafe is probably a combination that I use a lot, just day to day. Just a little color on your lid, just a bit, and that you don't have to add a whole lot of anything there. I don't know if that made sense. But it's fun to just, even if you just want to use one eyeshadow color, you can. And so that's what I'm going to do today, is just use that. And then to show you how you can work with tone on tone is, see how I already have, a little bit of darkness from my melasma there. So if we take just a little bit, switch over your brush to the more dense end, pick up that same color, and we're just going to put that in the crease right on top of that. And it's those two colors are just gonna make it a little bit darker, but it's gonna look really natural because I'm using my natural pigmentation under there just to kind of add some definition to that. Easy, done. And if you put your mascara on ahead of time, like I do, and you do get a little bit of powder or fallout, and I always go back in and just do one more quick little cleanup coat, just a little swipe. It just makes them pop. Done. Okay. Set your makeup with your setting spray when you're done, or if you prefer to use translucent setting powder, you can do that as well. If you just do not like, if you want more of a mattified look, you sure can. Or if you have kind of oily skin or an oily T-zone, then just use a little bit of translucent setting powder, or use your setting spray and just spray your face and let it dry, and you'll be done. And it'll last all day because you barely used any makeup, so it's not heavy, it's not cakey. Your skin is still showing through in areas. Yes, that sunspot is still there, but I'm not going to worry about it, It's just, it is what it is, and I've got my cheeks contoured. So if you have questions for me, if you want to message me later, please do. The cool thing now that I just figured out about going live here on Instagram is that I can actually see your comments after the live. We never used to be able to do that. Like once I left the live, I could never see your message or your question again if I missed it. So if you have asked me a question or left me a comment or put anything down there, I'll be able to see it, and I'll reach out to you after the live here. And if you're interested in getting a free color match to this makeup, here's your chance. Just comment match right now, and I will reach out to you and help you with that as well. All right. Well, have a great Monday, everybody. And I'm excited for you to play around with bronzer. If you want a link to the Bella bronzer that I use, and you want to just try that with the makeup that you already own, that you already have, and you want to experiment with using bronzer to tone and to even out your skin tone before you use your makeup, I can send you that as well, because that might be just a way for you to dip your toe into cream makeup and give it a try, and then you'll be hooked just like, like the rest of us. All right, thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a great day.